Hi, welcome back to Spirit Lounge, and this is the final video for the Samyutta Nikaya. It's been a long journey, the last 2 days. Hope you guys are enjoying it. You will find a lot of repetition, so I apologise for that, but this is how all these texts are like, actually. Lots of repetition, passages sounding the same as previous passages and so forth, but the messages are all pretty consistent. They're very simple, and they're just repeated over and over and over again, using different parables, different metaphor, different analogy. But that's just how they're all written. The Upanishads was exactly the same as this. So it's not a surprise to me, but this is what I'm finding. But I'm hoping you're getting something out for those who wanted to understand Buddhism and what was in the Pali Canon. This is useful to you. So let's just go straight into the final part of this Samyutta. Okay, so we're going to go into the Anapana-Sotapatti and the Sacca Samyutta, which is the last few passages and sections from the Samyutta Nikaya. This is a very short video because it's only got 3 slides. The Tipitaka, as you know, contains the Dhamma teachings of Buddha, three main collections, which are the Nikayas. Samyutta Nikaya is the third of the 5, which we're finishing today. And they all contain sermons, discourses, lectures, dialogue, and they all contain building blocks. Very, very repetitive in many ways. Just putting it all through in different methods and ways to describe what needs to be done in terms of fetters, eightfold path, and the 6 senses, and all the other ways in which they describe, or things that one must do to achieve Nibbana through Buddhist teachings. And we'll go through each and every one of these at the very end of all the Nikayas when we close up this series on Buddhism. Okay, so the Anapana-Samyutta, the Abhidhamma Vagga, on being steady in body and mind while meditative, through the discipline of breathing meditation. Some of us are very familiar with this, some of us use this. On 16-fold breathing meditation, finding a quiet place, sitting cross-legged. I would say sit straight. If you can't do cross-legged, it's fine. I often sit up in bed or on a chair, and I sit up straight. You must sit up straight. Do not try to meditate lying down. It really isn't the way to do it. With mindfulness, one breathes with these thoughts to control the meditation. I take a short breath in. I let a short breath out. Take a long breath in. Let a long breath out. Breathe in with the body. Breathe out with the body. Breathe in, cooling the body formations, which is mainly relaxing the body. Breathing out, cooling the body formations. Breathe in with joy. This is the breathing technique in meditation, which is fairly common out there. It does work if you practice it, and also helps you concentrate and moves the monkey mind out of the way a little bit. Sudhikai Vagga, on being steady in body and mind while meditative. Through the discipline of breathing meditation, on 16-fold breathing meditation, finding a quiet place, sitting cross-legged and straight with mindfulness, one breathes with these thoughts to control the meditation. Again, it's about meditation. Dutiya Vagga, on the parable of useful things, which enable 7 things, which enable 4 things, which enable 7 things, which enable 2 things, meaning the one thing is the state of 16-fold breathing meditation, 4 things are the 4-fold way to establish mindfulness, and 7 things are the 7 factors of enlightenment, and the 2 things are the wisdom and enlightenment. So it's kind of flowing down through this method. Okay, Sotapatti Samyutta, Vejud Vara Vagga. On how a Buddhist monk is advantaged over a supreme wheel-turning king, being free from the future rebirth in hell, as an animal, as a ghost, or in mystery, because the monk takes refuge in the Buddha and the Buddha's teachings, the Buddhist community, and demonstrates those virtues which conduce to the development of right concentration. On how the fate of a great supreme wheel-turning king is not worth 1/16 the fate Buddhist monk. On factors for becoming a stream winner, keeping company with good people, learning the Buddha's teachings, mindfulness, diligence. On what the stream winner is the Noble Eightfold Path. Right view, right thought, right speech, right action, right livelihood, effort, mindfulness and concentration. On those who follow the Noble Eightfold Path being stream winners. Stream winners are those who are able to achieve that level of detachment and then move on to the release from the cycle of rebirth. Saranani Vagga, on how long practice of the Buddha's path, practice with faithfulness, with virtue, with study, with charity, with wisdom, strengthens the mind so that even upon the fading of the body, the physical health and strength, in other words, it's transcendental. Okay, Sacca Samyutta, Samadhi Vagga, on how any layperson, past, present and future, who leaves the worldly life for the holy life, does so in an effort to understand the state of things without delusion, which leads to an understanding of the Four Noble Truths: suffering, the origin of suffering, the cessation of suffering, and the path that leads to the cessation of suffering. On the Buddha exhorting monks to abstain from evil thinking, thoughts of sensual pleasure, ill will and violence, for the reason that such thinking does not conduce to the holy life and to the attainment of the goals of the holy life. On thoughts conducing to good thoughts of the nature of suffering, origin of suffering, the cessation of suffering, and the path that leads to the cessation of suffering. And the next Vagga contains some of the most important suttas in the entire Tipitaka primary. Among there is the Dhamma Kaka Pava Atanana Vagga, which is this one, which contains the content of the first sermon preached by the Buddha. I didn't think this was too comprehensive if it was, but we'll go through it. It was with this sermon that the Buddha began his great ministry and set in motion the wheel of dharma, i.e. purpose, fulfillment of purpose and life intent. It is the Dhammacakka Pamavantana Vagga that the Buddha reveals the middle way, the Four Noble Truths, the path that leads to the cessation of suffering, the Noble Eightfold Path, and the nature of ignorance. On the Buddha seeing in motion the wheel of Dharma. On the two extremes to be avoided, the extreme of sense indulgences and the extreme of self-mortification. We've gone through these. On the middle way between extremes, the Buddha's Noble Eightfold Path. on what the origin of suffering is, craving for life, pleasures and non-violence, non-existence. Cessation of suffering, destruction of and liberation of all craving. Excuse me. Okay, Kotigama Vagga, on how ignorance of the four things leads to one wandering aimlessly through innumerable births, deaths and rebirths. These four things being the Four Noble Truths, the nature of suffering, the origin of suffering, the cessation of suffering, and the path that leads to the cessation of suffering. On the understanding that Four Noble Truths lead to the elimination of suffering and craving, the elimination of suffering and craving, the elimination of craving leading to the destruction of the supports for the existence, resulting in an end of the cycle of rebirth, death and birth. So this is going into a long-winded way of saying the same thing. On how all past enlightened beings become enlightened as a result of coming to understand the true nature of the Four Noble Truths, the nature of suffering, and the path that leads to the cessation of suffering. On the few beings that are born human and great mass of beings born as non-human, animal. On the reason for this imbalance, many are those who do not know and do not understand the Four Noble Truths, i.e. the nature of suffering, the origin of suffering, the cessation of suffering, the path that leads to the cessation of suffering. On the few born in civilized places and the many born in uncivilized places. On the few beings with true wisdom and the many without true wisdom. On the few who refrain from indulging in intoxicants and the many who indulge in intoxicants. On the few beings born on solid ground and the many being born in watery places. Okay, and that ends the Samyutta Nikaya. Remember the redemption we seek, the becoming we seek, the change we want to become, the spirit, the essence of our soul's garment to change it into the vibration of the breath of our Divine Father is yourself. This will always be you, I guarantee it. It may not be something some of you may understand now, but it will become reality. If you persist in this journey, you'll find that the church, the temple, the bridal chamber is that which you move your soul into, the spirit which is inside of you, from within to without, as the whole and the all of the Father, the source, the all, the grace. And it must be transformative, a life change, part of your life existence, to guide your action, word, thoughts and intentions and conscious perceptions and growth and gnosis. Otherwise it just becomes ritual, it just becomes virtue signaling, and it has little value and little permanence in your state. Okay, so I just want to put the camera back on there and say thank you again all for listening to this. I truly appreciate it. Please pass me your comments, feedback as we go along. There will be a little hiatus between this final the Samyutta to moving on to the next one, which I'm going to have to type up before I present, and I'll do them all in one go. So there will be a little bit of a gap, so don't worry, I haven't gone anywhere. I've got a lot more to do beyond Buddhism that's coming up. So please let me know if this is helping you. Your feedback is important to me. It does have a lot of meaning. I want to say thank you to you all. God bless, and take care of yourselves until we speak again. Thank you.